In 1983, 4 dudes in California decided, hey, we love disc golf, but we don't love the discs. And we're going to do something about that. Who were these 4 dudes? I don't know. Thanks for watching. Harold Duvall, his brother Charlie Duvall, Tom Selinsky, and Dave Dunapace. Harold Duvall was a professional disc golfer and the first ever PDGA World Champion. That was in 1982, so 1 year ago. Well, not 1 year ago from today, but 1 year ago from, like, in the video, we're talking about 1983. He was crucial in helping Dave come up with the name of this new brand, which he suggested, Innova Champion Discs, coming from the beginning half of innovation and also Innova, which is Latin for in the new. Hip, cool, new, Nova. The company's logo is also a star for the Nova connection. Now it makes more sense why they named one of their discs the Bullfrog. Charlie Duvall, Harold's brother, was brought in to help fund this new endeavor. Tim Selinsky was brought in for his expertise in business. And Dave Dunapace, he's the heart and soul of Innova. Dave set up shop in San Marino, California, where he created the Eagle. The Eagle was not only Innova's first ever mold, but was disc golf's first ever beveled edged disc. Before this, all discs looked just like thick frisbees, and the bevel that Dave introduced would help the disc with stability and torque and cutting through the air better, allowing them to go way further than their non-beveled disc counterparts, paving the way for basically every disc after it. The Eagle back then was very different from the one that we know Calvin Heimberg to be throwing today. It was a blunt-shaped disc which looked closer to a modern-day putter. Back then, there wasn't really any higher-speed discs because they weren't invented yet. This disc's manufacturing was outsourced due to Innova still being a new company, and because of this, Dave didn't really have the full access to tweaking the mold. He thought the original Eagle was a little too understable for his liking, and 2 months later, he changed the disc's name to the Arrow. On January 1st of 1984, Innova introduced the AVR, a deep, glidey 2-speed that is still one of their most popular putters. 1987 was a big year for Innova, with them releasing discs like the Stingray and the Rock, 2 mid-ranges that filled a lot of people's bags, with one being straight to slightly overstable and the other being perfect for turnover shots, which was huge at the time because not many people were throwing sidearms. With no discs out that could handle the torque of a forehand, not to mention nothing really overstable enough for the shot shape needed, the Stingray was a massive success. The Viper was introduced in December of 1991 as an overstable option in the Innova lineup. Perfect for flex shots and forehands and very windy conditions. It's also the first disc to have a positive turn number, which means it's not only overstable, it's overstable. Same word, but you know what I mean. The 90s saw Innova continue to innovate. You know, Whip It, Zephyr, Panther, Classic Rock, Polecat, Gazelle, Supernova, Cheetah, Rhino, just to name a few, and then boom! 1999. While the rest of the world was preparing for the world to end, Dave and the boys were preparing for the world to change. And now that I say that out loud, it sounds a lot more intense and apocalyptic than I wanted it to. But in the disc golf world, you'll understand why. This was the year that Innova signed their first professional athlete. And it wasn't just anybody. It was Ken Climo. Ken was already a big name in disc golf before this contract due to him winning 9 world championships in a row. From 1990 to 1998. Guess who was born? Just saying. I think I was his luck charm. And although he didn't win Worlds the year he officially joined Innova, he still managed to take down the United States Disc Golf Championship that year. Innova worked with Ken to create his own line of plastic called KC, and also threw his name on a bunch of discs, including a retooled version of the first disc ever, the Eagle. It is now a proper 7-speed. Yay! This is closer to the Eagle that you see Vinny chucking. Between the middle of 99 and the middle of 2000, some very notable discs were released. Have you ever heard of the T-Bird? Have you ever heard of the Leopard? You ever heard of the Valkyrie? The Gator? Have you ever heard of the Firebird? Then in 2001, a handful of molds were ran in Innova's new special premium blend of plastic, coined as CE for Champion Edition, starting with the CE Valkyrie. This was a translucent, stiffer plastic that was known for its incredible durability and also giving the disc a more overstable flight. Kenny won Worlds and USDGC both in 2000 and then decided to do it again 2 years later, as well as a USDGC in 04, his final Worlds in 06, and his final USDGC in 07. Oh, and he won the European Open in 07 as well. And I didn't even mention that he won the Japan Open in 93, 94, and 95. Kenny's good. In 2005, Innova introduced their Star Plastic, an opaque plastic with the perfect amount of give and grip, but still being a very durable premium plastic. In 2007, Innova introduced the L series of discs with the Firebird L, the T-Bird L, and the Starfire L, and arguably the most important disc in disc golf history, the Sonic. I'm just kidding. It's the Destroyer, the original 12.5-1-3. The Destroyer has been the go-to distance driver for so many players. One of these players being a young professional that joined the Innova team the same year, named Paul Macbeth. Born the same year as Ken Climo's first World Championship win, Paul was a California native and took the disc golf scene by storm. Filling in nicely as Innova's next All-Star, Paul was coined McBeast when he won 4 back-to-back Worlds from 2012 to 2015, with the 2015 one being part of the first ever disc golf Grand Slam. He won Worlds, he won USDGC, he won the Aussie Open, he won the European Open, and he won the Scandinavian Open. So yeah, I think Innova knows how to pick their players. Throughout the years, they picked up other notable players like Steve Brinster, Sarah Cunningham, Barry Schultz, Juliana Korver, Schwebby, Garrett Gerthy, Vino Makala, Greg Barsby, Jennifer Allen, Philo Brathwaite, Kat Murch, Evelina Solonen, Owen Scoggins, Calvin Heimberg, Big Germ, Nate Sexton, and David Wiggins Jr., who has the world distance record of 1,108 feet that he set with a Blizzard Boss. Blizzard being a plastic type that Innova came out with in 2012 that infused microbubbles into their champion plastic. In 2017, Innova decided to introduce another variation into their molds, a 3. They started with L for long, and then they moved on to the number 3 for flat. These are versions of the normal molds, but thinner. This started with the AVR and moved to the Rock, the Leopard, the Mako, the TL, the Gator, the Wombat, and fun fact, a lot of people don't know this, but there is such thing as a Rock 2. The original Rock is the Rock 1, and it was made in Ontario, and now is called the Classic Rock. And the rock that has the embossing on the bottom that says Rancho Cucamonga is technically the Rock 2. The more you know. They also introduced an X to some molds to signify the more overstable version of the disc, like the Rhino X and the Rock X3. Another big move that Innova made was to create a partnership with one of the largest sports equipment retailers in the world, Dick's Sporting Goods. Oh my God, Staples actually sells Staples. This was a critical play by the company to seal a huge portion of their profits by being in so many large stores. Although it is not public knowledge of when the deal was struck, I can safely say that it was sometime between 1983 and 2026. And speaking of 2026, we are now in present day. Innova continues to come out with new molds like the Fox and the Arachnid being PDGA approved in mid-2025. And although Ken Climo and Paul Macbeth have both parted ways with the brand, Innova is still sponsoring team players that are leading the field. Owen Scoggins and Evelina Salonen being top-tier FPO players, and Calvin Heimberg winning his first major championship in 2025 at the European Disc Golf Festival, and then taking down the Pro Tour Championship at the end of the season to solidify his third-place world ranking. And there you have it, the history of Innova Champion Discs. If you have an obscure fact about Innova, please drop it down in the comments and make sure you subscribe to keep up with all of the history of disc golf brands, as well as other disc golf. Disc golf. That's what I'm trying to say. Disc golf. Subscribe.